Peace Kingdom. Welcome back to All Chiefed Up. It's Mike. We're back with another podcast for that ass. And today, we're just live a little bit. We're live. Steve couldn't be here. Steve's stuck at work. So it's just going to be me rolling today. Going to talk about this wide receiver room. I know you guys haven't been under a rock. So you know that the wide receivers, a little bit in shambles after the other day. It's kind of been that way all year. A lot of people projected Brett Veach was going to make a last-minute deal yesterday. That did not happen. We've seen that. We've seen it. If you are part of our Patreon, patreon.com/allchiefedup, you will have seen the video that dropped today. We talked about that very extensively. I made the point to Steve that I don't think Brett Veach did not try to do anything. I feel that what maybe have happened was it got a little too late in the game. I don't think we have enough draft capital for this year coming up. I think our picks are kind of limited. And I think that Brett Veach tried. There was reports he had reached out to Arizona for Hollywood Brown, and it kind of just fell through. They said, look, we're not going to do it. I think a lot of people don't want to play ball with the Chiefs. I think that's the way it is. They don't want to play ball with the Chiefs. So, I mean, what can he really do? He's kind of limited. You can't overpay for things. You can't, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you just can't force it if it's not there. You cannot force it. He did go out and get Mecole Hardman. A lot of people that was a kind of the divisive move within Chiefs Kingdom. A lot of people thought we didn't need him, but he knew the playbook. Maybe it's something. Obviously, the Chiefs felt like we needed something. That's obvious. They wouldn't have went out and got Mecole Hardman if not. I think they thought he knew enough. And he was, good enough on special teams that it wouldn't be a big deal. I don't think it's going to move the needle when it comes to the wide receiver room here in Kansas City and how it's shaping up. But anyways, how are you guys doing today? Just me, just Mike today on All Chiefed Up. Steve, he'll be back with us on Saturday for sure for the tailgate. I got some plays and stuff we're going to look at. We got it going in the background. You can see X going over here. We're going to look at a few Dolphins. Well, one Dolphins play in particular that I'd found. We're going to talk about the Dolphins a little bit. We're still going to talk about the Chiefs and what they're planning on doing at the wide receiver room. I appreciate you guys all being here. I see a lot of usual faces. K. Wayne's in the house. And yes, he said deal needs two to tango. And you are 1,000% right. I just don't think a lot of people want to deal with the Chiefs, man. A lot of people are throwing out Devontae Adams. The Raiders wasn't willing to do anything. They're a dumpster fire. The Las Vegas Raiders are a complete shat show. That's what you can call them. They're horrible. A team like that, they should have been fire selling everybody, got them out of there, got what they can, build for the future. They couldn't even do that right. They couldn't do that right. They can't do anything right. We seen last night they fired their GM. They fired their coach. They're paying more money to their two ex-coaches than they have to even pay for another one. It's pretty pathetic, actually. But it's funny. It's funny knowing that it's right in our division. The Chiefs own them. They're going to continue to own them. Now that we got Denver up on their high horse, they didn't trade nobody either, so maybe they think they got something going too. That's pretty funny as well. But yeah, the Chiefs, the wide receiver room is still kind of a mess in a way. But this is what Brett Veach and them, they took the gamble early, and I'll give it to Brett Veach. A lot of people took some stuff that Steve had tweeted yesterday wrong. He tweeted basically saying that, look, Brett Veach has known all offseason. He's known every bit of this time that we did not have a wide receiver one. They tried to call Kadarius Toney a wide receiver one, and we all knew that's just not true. It's not true. So that's what they tried. Okay? Nobody really bought it, but they didn't go out and get anybody else. Again, they didn't have a lot of money. But they stuck with what they got. They kept 7 receivers. A lot of people didn't even think they'd keep 7. They kept them. Now you see Justin Ross getting a little bit of trouble. He's on the commissioner's exempt list. You've seen Richie James go down on IR. Kadarius Toney was on IR early during the preseason. We've had drop problems. We've had Skyy Moore not developing properly. Skyy Moore looks horrible. MVS is not getting open at all. Some guy wrote me the other day and said we should start calling MVS Applebee's because he's always good for a 2 for 20. That cracked me up, man. That cracked me up. A little bit unfair to MVS. If you go back and watch some tape, he is getting open. So then that begs the question, is it Nagy? I don't think so. Look, Nagy's been with the Chiefs. He was with us last year. Granted, he didn't call plays last year. Bieniemy was still here. But look, everybody said Bieniemy didn't call the plays last year either. Everybody says Andy calls all the plays. I thought that was the big argument. So Andy's still calling the plays. Nagy is not doing much. Nagy has been the QB coach for Mahomes before he left, and he had a great year with Nagy. So I don't understand. I think we're just all pointing blame at something that's maybe not there. We're all reaching a little bit. And I think at the end of the day, it's just our wide receivers are just not getting the job done. They're in the NFL. They get paid paychecks. They got to get out there and get it done. They were good enough to make the team. They got to get out there and do it. They got to earn Patrick Mahomes' trust. And I believe at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes has to look in the mirror and get a little bit better too. Like, I get it. It's hard to trust people like that. But at the same time, this is what the organization gave you. This is what everybody was convinced you had to have. You know, a couple water boys and a grandma, and you can throw them into the Pro Bowl and you're going to go win a Super Bowl. That's what we've all said. That's all he needed. So Mahomes has got to be like, look, that's all I need. And he goes out and he fires them, and everybody just drops them. Who cares? That's not on Mahomes. Like, I think at the end of the day, it's better to do that than to sit around in the pocket, take sacks, force, just try to force it to Kelsey so much because that's the only guy you trust in a way. And I get it. You're going to have tons of this. This is what happens with a young wide receiver room. They're all developmental players. Nobody's really proven. That's what everybody said Mahomes needed. He didn't need nothing else. Mahomes can do it. So Mahomes needs to go show people, hey, I'm either going to do it or I'm not, and we can squash that narrative. We can finally get Mahomes a little bit of help. But I appreciate you guys being here. Anthony in the house. I see you. Brian Parrott. I see you. Brenda Pike. I see you. Matt Gerke. I see you, brother. Josh Zimbauer. Godly Warrior. Everybody in here, the usual suspect. How are you guys doing today on this fine Wednesday? This is kind of like our war room. It's a little early in the day. I get it. But Steve is at work till 8:30, I think. I don't really know his schedule. But yeah, I got to head off tonight, go towards Lexington. I got to make the long drive. I've kind of turned myself into a trucker like K. Wayne. I'm out here trucking like K. Wayne. I'm not getting K. Wayne's bucks. I'm not getting the big bucks, but yeah, I have a nightly thing where I run all the way from Lexington back to Louisville, and it's chaotic, but it's what YouTube's forced us all into over the past few weeks, if you know that debacle. By the way, ran into a complete moron the other day on X last night. We made the point that people, on X, everybody just wants to go to the most outlandish stuff just to get, clicks and impressions and this and that, and that's what they do. And then Steve posted up something that was kind of, people took it the wrong way. It was a little, they just read it the wrong way. They were trying to say that if Brett Veach won the Super Bowl, he was calling him lucky, but if he lost, he had to take the blame. So it was a lose-lose. And everybody just read it the wrong way. He was saying that if he won the Super Bowl, despite this wide receiver room being a problem, he would get lucky to not have to face the backlash because he didn't try to correct the receiver room at any point. So that's what it was. Everybody read it wrong. Attack. All the Chiefs echo chamber comes out and grabs you. And then we made a post about how it's funny that people will latch on to anything they can argue with you for on X, because that's all it is a bunch of arguers and right fighters. And as projected, everybody had to fight with that one as well. And some guys like, I'm the guy that reported you and got you all demonetized off YouTube. Good try, buddy. That's not how this worked. You think you're that powerful. You're not. So go back to obscurity in your mama's basement. Nobody cares. And look, if you watch the show or not, I don't really care. Like, I don't need people like that. Nobody else needs people like that that just want to act a fool. So do what you want. But here's my thoughts on the wide receivers. I guess we'll talk about that for just a little bit. And I can't spitball off Steve here. So it's just me giving a rant. I hope you guys stay with me here. It's just me talking, man. I'm the football. I don't want to say Steve's not the football mind, but I'm the one that dives in and I get in deep and I just see it. But look, I had some talks with some people today, and I said that when Richie James comes back, I wish they would play Richie James in a spot that helps Richie James. Play him the way he should be played. Because that's what we're seeing throughout Chiefs Kingdom a lot. I don't believe they're playing Skyy Moore they're not putting him in the positions where Skyy Moore needs to be to do what he needs to do. I don't think they're using MVS properly. I don't think they're using Kadarius Toney properly. Rashee Rice, there was some trouble trying to fit him in, and now that he's going, cool, let's continue to build on it. But I feel like a lot of it we just do not use properly. And look, that's not saying I know more than Andy Reid. That's not saying I know more than the entire offensive staff. I know more than the Chiefs. I need to put in my resume for Brett Veach's job. That's not what it is. So get that out of here. That's not what we're saying. I'm saying I'm a podcast. We're a podcast. We talk about things. We're just talking. It's conversation. If I had the power to go implement my changes and then you watched it play out on the field, then I could be like, look, I was right. If I had the power to implement my changes and it failed, then you could tell me I was an idiot. But otherwise, we're just having a conversation, just talking a little bit. And here's my thing. I think Skyy Moore, and a lot of people isn't going to like this, Skyy Moore needs to continue to play. He needs to continue to play. You can't give up on him now. I get it. He's a bust, and I'm tired of making excuses for him, and I don't want to. And his hands, and he was held, and blah, blah, blah. At some point, it gets old. But it's so tough to give up on a second-round pick that it just doesn't feel like we're using properly. Like, we've got to use him the way he was meant to be used in college. He's quickness, short burst quickness. He makes people miss. He forced more missed tackles than anybody his senior year. You got to get him the ball quick. You got to get it out of Mahomes' hand. You got to design something, bubble screen, something. 3 or 4 or 5 plays a game designed to get him the ball very quickly, in my opinion. Whether he breaks it off for 2 yards or he actually, makes a few guys miss and he goes for 10, 15. God forbid he takes it to the house once or twice, in the year off some of these little, quick hitters. But you got to do that. Like, he is not suited to line up out of the slot on the outside. He has no production on the outside. He gets nothing. You've got to just let him have those 3, 4, 5 plays a game, get him the rock, let him do what he does best. And look, at the end of the season, if he still can't do nothing with that, there's where you give up on him. But right now you can't. I just don't feel like he's done right. And a lot of people argue me and they said, look, what about Rashee Rice? That's your slot guy. You can't just play, not MVS. You can't just play Skyy in the slot. Totally agree. Rashee Rice has had a decent amount of production, but 2 of his highest rated games per PFF. And again, not saying PFF's the word of God, but PFF is a guideline. 2 of his highest rated games this year, if not the 2 highest, he actually took more percentage of snaps out wide, not in the slot. So he does produce in the slot, but he can also, because of his body type and the way he runs routes, he can produce on the outside. Skyy Moore cannot produce on the outside. He gets blanked out there. So you can split them down the middle at slot. Like, they can both take, 30 slot snaps a game. That's cool. That's 60 snaps. They can still be in the game the other way because, look, you can still, when Skyy's not in the slot, you can put him out wide, let him be a decoy if you want. But you can run Rashee Rice when he's not playing the slot, put him out wide and let him, he don't have to leave the game. You can still build his snaps, get him to 40, 50 snaps a game. Honestly believe Rashee Rice is number 1. Then on the outside, you're going to have MVS and you're going to have Justin Watson. And to be honest, if you play them both with 2 wide, that's fine with me. If you want to go with the hot hand, that's fine with me, but you got to use them properly. You got to use them properly. I believe Skyy Moore has to be used properly, and I believe those guys got to be used properly. And a lot of people say, well, what about Kadarius Toney? He's a slot guy. Oh, we got slot guys. One, I'll say this. I didn't build the team. I didn't go out and sign 47 slot receivers and keep 7 slot receivers. That's what the Chiefs did. That's what Andy Reid did. That's what Brett Veach did. That's their problem to deal with. But from an outside perspective of me looking at it, you're right. There's a lot of slot receivers. But Skyy Moore, I don't know why I keep calling him MVS. Skyy Moore is the guy, in my opinion, that if you pull him out of the slot, he's completely ineffective. So he's got to stay in the slot when he's in. So if you want to give him 30 snaps, 40 snaps, the majority of them get him in the slot. I'm talking he needs to be going 85% slot snaps. Thanks, Randy. Appreciate you, brother. I'm going to get to some comments in a minute. I'm just not just raging, but it's one of those things where I just want to get the thoughts out, and then I'll take some questions and comments and talk to you guys for a little bit. But yeah, I think that you got to get Skyy to do the primarily. He just needs to be the slot guy. Get him the ball. I think it's more productive to let him have 3, 4, 5 plays a game where you get him in a very good situation, a quick hitter. a quick slant, something like that, like a screen, a bubble screen, something. That to me is more productive than him lining up on the outside 45 snaps and running a route where he cannot get open. He can't create separation. He can, but he doesn't do it with as much. Obviously, he don't do it as much as Mahomes would like or Mahomes would look to him. So that's the thing. That's what I see. I would rather him just be used where he wants to. Rashee Rice, he can go in and out. He is productive in the slot, but he can move outside. So he can move. And then, like I said, on the outside, you got J. Watt, you got MVS. Kadarius Toney's the guy. They're like, look, he's a slot. I'm with you. He can play the slot, but look, some of his most productive games, he's on the outside. One of his best games in Kansas City was one of the first games he ever played here versus Jacksonville. He lined up 90% out wide, not in the slot. He lined up outside on the boundary. And I remember the play where he's adjusting his glove and he's making big catches, and he produced from out wide. That's what I'm saying. Toney can produce from out wide. Mecole Hardman, during his entire career, Mecole Hardman has played just as many snaps as in the slot as he has out wide. And he's been decently productive. Not the greatest, but he's been decently productive. But that means Mecole Hardman can play wide. So look, you can have snaps where Kadarius Toney comes in the slot, Mecole Hardman comes in the slot. Fine, I'm fine with it. But for the majority of Skyy snaps, he needs to stay in the slot to be productive. Kadarius Toney can move out to the edge. Hardman can move out wide. MVS and Justin Watson are automatically the guys out wide half the time. But you can move Rashee Rice a little bit too. And that was what I was trying to tell people. It's like, look, we've got to start playing them in the right position. And it's not even about where they're playing. It's not out wide or inside. You know what it is? It's not even about being just a slot receiver for Skyy Moore. You can maybe play him out wide, but get him the ball quickly. Run a slant. Get a bubble screen going. Get him the ball in space and let him do what he did in college, which is make people miss, turn into a running back, and just get up the field. And also that gets your confidence going as well. When Skyy's having trouble with drops, he's having trouble with timing patterns. That's what I want to see, man. Look, in Skyy, he come out today and he said, look, I got to make these catches. And I'm going to say that too. For everybody dogging on Skyy, and everybody has, and I've even started to back away and be like, look, Skyy just might not be it. And it's very possible, and he deserves that to a certain extent. But boy, he manned up today, and he come out and he took it like a champ, and he took the full blame. And to me, that tells me that that's good character, and he's willing, and he understands, and he will do it right. So that's what I'm hoping going forward. And I just wish we'd put him in the right spot. And then that leaves Richie James. Where does he line up primarily? Dude, he is basically a slot receiver. So you basically are going to have Rashee Rice running some slot. You're going to have Richie James coming in and running some slot, and then Skyy Moore. But I think out of those three, you rotate. Rashee Rice can run slot, but he don't primarily have to be there. He can go on the outside and produce. By the way, Rashee Rice, 2 of his best games he's had so far this year, he's done it from the outside. He's done it from out wide. 2 of his highest rated games, according to PFF, was primarily from the outside. It was a small split. It was only like 55% or something like that. But still, that proves that he can produce on the outside. He don't strictly have to be in the slot. If you take Skyy out of the slot, look at his production, it's horrible. His first 3 games, Skyy didn't set the world on fire, but go look at his first 3 games where he played primarily in the slot, and now his slot snaps are vanishing because they're giving it primarily to Rice and 2 other players. But now that his slot snaps are vanishing, Skyy's becoming irrelevant. Like, he's just becoming irrelevant. So you've got to get him back. Look, if you don't want to give up on him, you got to get him back in the slot, and that's the way it is. Let me take a few questions and stuff. If you guys got any questions, throw it in the chat. Put the little question marks in front of it so I can pick them out. It's just me. I don't have Steve helping me pick through these, so I really do appreciate it. Jan, good to see you. She says, you give me a little hope for Skyy. Man, I tell you, in all the negativity, and again, boy, we lit into the Chiefs this week. It's one of those things. You don't want to get beat by a rival, even if you feel like it's coming, even if you feel like, you can't win them all. That'd have been 17 in a row. But it was the effort that's what fell off. And I get it that he was sick and this and that. But look, everybody around him wasn't sick, and you just had bad effort from everybody, minus the defense. I thought the defense looked pretty good, and the defensive line in particularly. George Karlaftis played a heck of a game. Very impressed with George Karlaftis. And look, everybody last year, George Karlaftis is somebody we can look at here for just a second. everybody was ready to give up on him. He's a half a step too late. He's no good. He's a half a step too late. He's never going to be elite. He worked on it in the offseason. He's come back in year 2, and he's done well. Skyy Moore, look, Skyy Moore played at a smaller college than Karlaftis. Karlaftis is playing at Big Ten, Big Ten, Purdue. He's played better talent. Look, Karlaftis was a little bit more suited to come to the NFL, and it still took him a full year, and it still took him, we're like, he's now getting to the quarterback. He's starting to make it up, but he's still got some work to do. George Karlaftis is not perfect just yet, but he's on the right track. He's getting there. And Skyy's just going to take a little bit more time to develop, but you can't, look, nobody would be pumped with George Karlaftis right now if he was primarily just coming in to come off the edge and guard the slot receiver in the flats like they were trying to make him do against Garrett Wilson and all these people. How many times do we see a defensive end and Spags come out and guard the receiver and get burned? What if he played 25 snaps a game like Skyy does, and then they put him in the position where he's got to guard running backs out of the backfield, and we would be saying, look, George stinks. Like, this was a bust. But instead, he stayed in a natural position. He's got better, and they did it. Skyy is not being used in his natural position, so it's also delaying his development that way as well. There's so many intricacies that go into this, and people just don't think about it. But it's all these little things. And so that's what I'll say. Skyy Moore, we just got to have some hope. I get it. It's been a rough week. We're still 6-2, and look, we've got to roll these receivers now. There are no more moves. There are no more moves to be had. So it's now or never. They're going to have to do it. Pono says, Brett's going to regret not making a move for wide receiver. Skyy would have proved himself already if he was a legit NFL receiver. Yes and no. For all the things we've talked about, look, you just can't do it. Look, everybody's freaking out about who's the receiver? Puka Nacua. Everybody's freaking out about Puka Nacua over at the Rams. Look, they found a perfect spot for him. Cooper Kupp goes down. Everything about that offense worked out in his favor, and he's a go-to guy. Everybody knows his name, and you would dare not call him a bust. But if he ended up on the Chiefs, per se, and he's playing behind 3 or 4 bigger guys and he can't get on the field, and there was no injuries, and they're not using him in the right position, and they're throwing jump balls to him when he should be coming out of the slot, and you know what I'm saying? Like, and then people would be like, well, he's a bust. And it's not. It's not about your playing quality sometimes. It's about your situation. I'll put it that way. So I don't want to give up on him just yet. We've got to roll with him for now. Look, you don't want to give up on a second-round pick in his second year. Not even his full second year. We're 8 games into the second year. You cannot give up on it that quick. Jack, good to see you, brother. He says, I agree, Skyy is a slot receiver. You are correct. PM15 GOAT. I'd like to know the wide receiver Veach was supposed to go get. Who can we afford? Well, look, Sport Track come out with a big thing yesterday saying that they had a list of wide receivers you could possibly have gotten at the trade deadline and what they would have cost. If you could have made a deal for example, D-Hop, Sport Track was saying he was going to cost less than $700K for the season. So we could have got him in for $700K. I'm not 1,000% sure what the salary cap is for the Chiefs right now. I think we're somewhere between 3 and 5 million, somewhere in that. But we could have afforded 650, 700K. You could have afforded it. But the problem with that is they just signed DeAndre Hopkins. You think they're going to get rid of him? No, they're trying to develop, Malik Willis. They're trying to develop, Will Levis. You've got to have the trade partner. We all thought the Cardinals were tanking, and they're not trying to get rid of Hollywood Brown. They said no. Like, that was what they said. So you still got to have 2 to tango. Macca, what's up? I agree with Mike. We have the tools, maybe not power tools, but we have tools and need to use them better. That's what I think, man. I think, look, when you've got a group of receivers that all primarily, look, almost out of we got 7 wide receivers. And out of every one of them, 5 of them are basically probably better off being slot receivers. So what are you supposed to do in that situation? You cannot rotate 5 people and then just have 2 guys taking all the snaps from the outside, which is what they kind of tried in week 1 and week 2 and week 3. MVS was getting every snap for the first couple weeks, just playing the outside. MVS. He was going 60, 70 snaps a game, every offensive snap. He was out snapping Travis Kelce in week 2, I believe. He's still not getting targets. A lot of times I think the Chiefs, a lot of time I think some of our route concepts and route trees and some of our offensive concepts are just, I think they're easily like identifiable sometimes when you don't have a Tyreek Hill and things that causes the defense to have to do something different. And right now, there's not a receiver that just has so much speed that they demand what Tyreek Hill does. And we'll see that in this play that's been rolling since the beginning of time, since I popped on here because I've got it up on X. But yeah, you're going to see in that play, I'll explain it and what to watch for. But speed kills. And I know Hardman's got it, and I know a lot of people do have it per se, but we're not using them the same way we'd use Tyreek Hill. We just don't. And we've never used Mecole Hardman the way that I thought they were going to draft him to use him, because Tyreek never really went. Like, he never got suspended and stuff like they thought, but we'll get to all that in a minute. But yeah, I agree. I believe our tools are fine, and we just got to figure out a way to get them involved. And I think a lot of it is to get the confidence built back up, because if you remember in the preseason, everybody was down on the receivers, and then once the preseason come along, everybody kind of got big on them, and we were like, look, ISM's looking good, this and that. He was so good, we managed to get a trade out of him and get some assets for him. But then they just kind of, week 1 drops, week 2 not very good, week 3 here we go, and they've just never caught their confidence again. I believe we got to get them rolling. We got to get their confidence going again. What's up, Jay Willikers? How's it going, ACU crew? What's good, my man? It's a Wednesday afternoon. We're doing a Wednesday War Room without Steve. So if you're just joining me, go ahead and hit that like button for me. We got 81 likes. Let's see if we can push that up to 100 at least. I know I'm by myself. I know it gets difficult just watching one guy talk, but I'm just trying to open up and have a little football conversation with you guys, and we'll talk about it, and I'll try to answer any questions. I don't really have any kind of rants I need to go on now. I've kind of got that out of the way, so we'll just talk and have a little conversation. I appreciate you guys spending some time with me here. If you're new to the channel, hit the sub button. We're trying to get to 20K, and right now we're getting close to 16. We're notching up close, slowly but surely. We're getting to 16K. We're at like 15.7 was the last time I looked, so it's getting there. Like I didn't think it would. I almost didn't think it'd be possible, but it's starting to get there. It's starting to get there. I've also been recovering from a sickness. I've had a head cold, sinus, something. My doctor thinks it was a sinus infection. So now she started me on some antibiotics. But I have been, 2 weeks of just completely, you can probably still hear it in my voice. I apologize, but look, I still had to do shorts. I still had to go work my day job, just like all of you guys. So I still had to do content, and I know it was probably annoying hearing me being nasally. I'm sorry, but I couldn't not for 2 weeks not release things, especially with the clamp YouTube's got on us. So I had to keep working. I had to grind through it, and I apologize. But, it didn't hurt the content, hopefully. I mean, the words that were coming out of my mouth were the same, even though they could have been a little nasally. I'm sorry. But I'll get back to some comments, man. Let's see. What do we have here? Let me find a comment and get a little drink. John Johnson. Here we go. What's up, John? Good to see you, brother. Do you think we can follow the Bills' defensive scheme to shut down the Dolphins? Yes and no. I don't watch tons of Bills stuff to see exactly what they like to run a lot. I think Spags will still do what he does, which is going to be exotic blitzes and this and that. I'm very curious to see are they really going to let L'Jarius Sneed shadow Tyreek Hill all day? That's been the MO, going all the way back to maybe the Seahawks last year. That's been the way that Spags has kind of stepped it up a notch. I don't think Sneed's fast enough to hang with him. I don't. Sneed is very handsy anyway. They get him on the boundary. The officials are going to get nitpicky. You're going to see look, he was holding Cortland Sutton last week every other play. Sutton was eating his lunch. And it's like, look, Sneed's had a very good year. Last week was his worst game, minus week 1 when he wasn't really ready to come in and play. But I'll tell you this. Sneed's had a great year, and I'm very surprised they didn't move off of him at the trade deadline. I know that's crazy, but that tells me that they may be looking to try to re-sign Sneed long term. Because if not, they may have been able to use him for an asset. You could have got something out of Snead. The way he's played, you may have scored a 3rd-round pick out of him. So that must mean that they see him in the plans and moving forward, and they may be trying to pay him, even though he's going to want some big money. He's going to want that big cornerback money. He may be right at the top of the corner list coming free agency. So we'll see. But I'm very curious to see who's going to do it. I honestly think McDuffie versus Tyreek Hill could be a little better. And I'll say that because McDuffie is pretty quick. McDuffie struggles against size, and we know Tyreek Hill does not have size. That's the one thing he does not have. But Tyreek Hill's savvy, and he's quick, and I don't know if McDuffie's quicker. Tyreek Hill's he's elite, man. He's tough. He's tough, so I don't know. I do think the Patriots done okay last week against the Dolphins. There was another game I was kind of looking at earlier, and I thought the Chiefs may try to replicate something they did as well. But I don't remember who it was. I'll have to go back and look. But I appreciate the question, John. Appreciate you. Brian Parrott, what's up, Brian? He says, why does Steve hate me? Steve don't. Steve is in his own world 99.9% of the time. Like, he really is. I'm surprised he talks to me as much as he does. Anthony says, what is your early score prediction? Early score prediction is this. I've still got a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth from the Bronco game. But I do think that maybe that was a little bit of a trap game, and maybe because of the flu that Mahomes was carrying, they kind of just went with kind of the same stuff they did week 1. And the first time they played them, rather, not week 1. But the first time they played them, and maybe they just kind of, Denver was preparing for it, like they just wanted to break the streak, and the Chiefs just were like, hey, maybe they were looking forward a little bit. So I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means, but here's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to come down to our defense has got to make some big plays. We've got to get to Tua. We got to make him feel uncomfortable, and we've got to disrupt Tyreek Hill. You're going to have to beat him to death off the line. You're going to have to disrupt that timing. You can't let him use his speed. So I'm sure Mike McDaniel is going to use a lot of crazy motion and get us running like crazy. But I think the defense has to step up, make a few big plays. And let's be honest, our offense is going to have to step up and try to score with them. Like, we're just not scoring right now. And we know, even with our defense, if they're on the field too long, and with Miami's speed, Miami is going to put up 24 plus easily, in my opinion, probably 30. We've got to get to that mark, and we've only done that maybe once this year. And that was against the Bears, who's not very good. So I think somebody on the offense has got to step up. One of these receivers have to step up. They've just got to. So, in my opinion, knowing that the defense is going to have to step up and make a few big key plays, probably Snead, probably McDuffie, and then you're going to have a receiver. I can't pick a receiver out right now that I think can step up. So, to be honest, I think it's going to be close, but my early gut says the Dolphins by like a field goal. That's where I would go with it. And I don't want to say it, and it may switch, earlier on, but I think it's going to be closer than I think it would be, a week ago if you asked me. But I think it's close. But I just think the Dolphins, they've got it going right now. But I did see something about Kelsey maybe getting guarded by Jalen Ramsey all day, like shadowed. If that happens, Kelsey's going to eat. Let's just put it that way. So you never know. They got to play it on the field. But my early gut says I think the Dolphins got enough playmakers that they may make one or two more plays than we do, and that may be the decider. That it's going to come down to maybe one or two plays, and that's where I say now, don't hold it against me. Sorry, guys. Let me get the questions back up and get to the front. Lava Dilly, what's up? Going to be a tough game, but I'm going to predict 35-27. I'm guessing you're going Chiefs there. That is awesome. I appreciate that comment and that faith in the Chiefs. And I don't not have faith in the Chiefs. It's just one of those things where I'm looking at it from an analyst perspective. I feel like the Dolphins are clicking better at the moment. I feel like their offense is putting points on the board, and we're just not. And defenses in this league, you can be a great defense, but after a while, you've seen it with Denver. Our defense was on the field the entire third quarter. Like, they were gassed. There were people sending me pictures of Chris Jones just not even playing. Like, that dude was so tired. So yeah, it's one of those things. But But yeah, we'll see. Lewis says 35-9 Dolphins. Lewis, okay. I like it. I mean, if that's what you want to do, man. Let me go. K. Wayne says we need to get physical with the speedy Dolphin receivers. You are 1,000% correct. Julia, what's up? Chris Jones and Tyreek are going to be talking. I really wish we had Bolton on the field. Yeah, I think Nick Bolton hurts this team a little more than people think. Like, I'm a huge fan of Drew Tranquill, but Nick Bolton, he's just got that. He's got that innate ability to just be around the ball. And even when he looks like he's playing a little slow, he still finds a way to get to the ball. And I'm not saying Drew Tranquill can't do that, but it's tough to have Bolton is that guy in the middle, man. He's that rock. And it's like, I get that Drew Tranquill can do every bit of that, and he's probably faster, and who knows, but I like Nick Bolton. I'm a Nick Bolton guy. A lot of people don't, but we'll see. Jan says we got to keep the pressure on Tua. Yes, 1,000,000,000%. We have got to get to Tua. Tua's not faced a lot of pressure this year so far. I don't want to go on a tangent and go look it up on PFF or anything to see how many hurries and things that he does have against him, how many hits or sacks or whatever. But yeah, I really do feel like that could be it. The one I was thinking about earlier though was the Eagles. I thought the Eagles, the way they played them defensively, could be okay. The Eagles played a lot of zone, if I'm not mistaken, in the first half. They didn't even play man-to-man probably until a minute to go in the first half. So it's very possible maybe Spags comes out and does a little zone, some zone blitz and some this and that, or they may expect us to do zone and then he goes straight man-to-man. Who knows? It's going to be pretty crazy watching this game. I think it's going to be very entertaining. I hate the fact that they put it in Germany at 9:30. I hate it. Even if Tyreek would have beat us at Arrowhead, I just feel like that's a game that the NFL and Kansas City fans deserve to have at Arrowhead. I just felt like it. And I mean, I just feel like the NFL missed the mark there. But I do. Go for KC forever. Chris Jones didn't sign an extension, so we were not going to get D-Hop. Yeah, you're right. That's another one of the things that I said, and I was talking with Steve on the Patreon podcast today. There was a lot of things handcuffing Brett Veach. All the way up until yesterday, there was a lot of things handcuffing him. But yeah, this scenario right here, Chris Jones tried to hold out for money, and boy, it was a disaster. He holds out a game. He ends up somehow getting less money. Look, I don't think he's going to hit his sack totals this year. I don't. I just feel like now the new game plan is, look, Chris Jones is dominant. We're going to put 2 and 3 guys on him. We're going to hold him, and we're going to force the official to throw that flag every time, and they're just not going to do it. So Chris Jones is going to be held into oblivion for the rest of the season. That's going to be the new thing is hold, and they're going to make the officials. Something tells me the officials aren't going to do it because as much as people want to say they play favorites with the Chiefs, they don't watch the games very closely. They watch the very end. They watch, the highlights. They watch everybody on X getting up in arms over it. That's all people want to watch. They don't want to actually watch the game. Julia's mad that I picked the opponent. I went back and looked, and I've only picked against the Chiefs in the entire time we did the podcast. Officially, I think maybe 2 times. And one of them I was wrong. I think I picked the Bucks last year when we actually come out and just right off the bat got a quick turnover and this and that. And yeah, I think I was wrong on that one because Andy, didn't think Andy's going to come out and commit to a run, and he actually did. He did exactly what I told him, or not told him, but what I said we needed to do to be dominant. And I'll be danged if he didn't do it. And then we were dominant. But then the next week they went away from it. So it cracks me up. Andy just outsmarts himself sometimes. But I haven't officially picked against the Chiefs just yet. That's my initial gut feeling. But yeah, that's my initial gut feeling. Let me get to this play that's been popping up on the screen. I want to show you guys this really quick. And then I'll get back to doing some more stuff. Let me blow it up full screen for you guys. Okay, I want to show you this play. Let me make it full screen here. You're going to have, this is a thing they like to do. It's a 21 personnel. And what a 21 personnel is, and this is a play that I wanted to bring up because the Dolphins run this play a lot. This is one of their bread and butter go-to plays in any situation where they want to get a chunk play, any situation they want to pick up a first down. they will go to this play a lot. From all the film I've watched, they've ran this play probably at least 7 to 10 times this year in crucial situations. So what it is 21 personnel, and what that is 2 running backs. So you're going to have 2 running backs. You're going to have one tight end, one tight end, and the tight end's down here. And then you're going to have Tyreek Hill and you're going to have Jalen Waddle. So what they do is, this is that thing that everybody was talking about, this illegal motion thing. And what it is they put Tyreek in motion, and he doesn't come towards the line of scrimmage, but Tyreek gets full speed. And it don't take a lot for Tyreek Hill. We've all watched him forever. We know he can go 0 to 60 faster than a Ferrari. This dude is fast. So what they do is they get him over here, and once he gets in his break, about the time he gets the waddle, they time the snap perfectly, so Tyreek Hill is on a full dead sprint, and he don't have to go to a 90-degree stop and go up. I know my little purple route looks like a 90-degree, but it's basically going to be a wheel route. So he's never going to have to like put his foot in the ground and plant. He's just going to come right off of that, so he's basically getting a running start. So basically, they're going to put him in motion, and it's an RPO play. So you're going to have Jeff Wilson, the running back down here at the bottom. He's going to come across, and then they're going to fake to the other back. And what that does is they will usually 9 times out of 10 throw it to Tyreek Hill because, like I said, you're going to get zone out of position. If it's a man-to-man coverage, you're going to have this guy sprinting 40 yards with Tyreek Hill across the field and then have to guard him all the way up the field. Tyreek Hill's going to beat anybody doing that. So this is the one I wanted to show you. So I'll play the play a little bit, and you'll see. I'll show you what they do with Tyreek Hill. Here he goes in motion. Now look at him. He's got this guy across the field. Now what we've seen right off the bat is you think this guy in front of him is his guy, but it's not. They're playing man-to-man coverage here. So this guy on the outside, this corner, is actually got Tyreek. This guy right here is technically in the box. He's not him. That's not his guy. So the Dolphins identify this right now by getting this guy to have to just launch across the field. So when he does, this makes this guy at the top of the field, who have also gotten the blue, he technically right now is supposed to be on Waddle because Waddle is the outside guy over here. But when Tyreek goes in motion, he goes on the outside of Waddle. So guess who thinks that he's got the outside guy? You guessed it, this guy. He's like, hey, Tyreek's the new outside guy. And this is split-second Tyreek Hill speed. And the fact that the Dolphins timed this perfectly does not give these guys any time to communicate. So what you're going to see is Tyreek Hill comes around, and the guy following him and Jalen Waddle's guy goes with Tyreek, and look at Waddle, wide open. Just wide open. That's the easiest touchdown Tua will ever throw in his life. That's the easiest touchdown Jalen Waddle's ever going to catch in his life. And they will do this a lot. And a lot of times they will throw the Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill will blow by people. But you also got Jalen Waddle right over the middle. Look, the linebacker even come down to guard. He was guarding Jeff Wilson coming across the formation. So they were all kinds of confused. And the Patriots are a very disciplined defense. So that's just one play I wanted to bring up. It was just one play I wanted to bring up. I thought the Chiefs, if you want to go look at it more in what I wrote, you can go find it on X. But yeah, that's just one of the plays I wanted everybody to see because that shows what the Dolphins will try to do. They're going to try to put Tyreek in motion. They're going to try to confuse the Chiefs. So will the Chiefs play a lot of man-to-man? It's very possible because if you get them in zone, you can start getting weird things. But see, that was man-to-man, and that still got them really confused. But I think we'll be fine. I think Spags is going to have the defense playing good. I think he's going to have them looking good. I just don't know if Snead or McDuffie, whoever has – I mean, look, the other one's guarding Jalen Waddle. That's not easy either. So the Dolphins are just kind of stacked. They're an embarrassment of riches at wide receiver. They're the exact opposite of us. So we'll see. But that's the play I wanted to bring up for the film review this week. I know I haven't done a lot of film review over the past few weeks, and usually I do some Chiefs stuff, but today I thought it would be nice to look at that. So if you guys ever see that double backfield, that 21 personnel, that formation, be on the lookout for that RPO because they can always hand it off to Jeff Wilson. They can always hand it off inside. They can hit Wilson in the flat. They can go to Tyreek on the wheel route. They can go. It's crazy. I've also seen them run that without putting Tyreek in motion, and Tyreek's just blown by somebody. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, that's how they've abused the rule. Miami is abusing the motion rule. It almost looks like CFL and Arena League football, but it's not. It's within the rules. Mike McDaniel's pretty good offensive mind, dude. He's pretty funny. Pretty good offensive mind. I do not have a problem with Mike McDaniel, to be honest. I think he's hilarious. Yeah, let me answer a few more questions, and then I'll probably have to call it a night because I've got to get out of here. So I'm going to answer one or two more. If you've got them, throw them in the chat. I'm going to run through the last few and see if I can find one, and we'll answer it. Usability Gene, good film. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, I hope that the Chiefs, I mean, we know they're watching film, but I hope that that's the one they put on the back burner because that's the one that stuck out to me a little bit. I really do. I think that is. Daddy Barr says Bengals are the Chiefs' biggest threat. Again, in the AFC, I do believe if the Bengals, and there's no reason to not believe this, Joe Burrow's getting it together at the right time. They're still a good team across the board. If they can get that division and they win, or they get in the playoffs at any point, if they can just get in, they are a good team. I do think that I would still take the Bengals. I think this is the year the Bills get the Bengals. I don't know why, but I think the Bills are going to get the Bengals this year. I think they play this week, right? Am I right? I'm not for sure. But for some reason, something tells me the Bills is going to win this one. But look, if the Bills don't, I think the Bills are just gone. I think the Bills' window has just closed, and it's almost minuscule. So the Bills need to win, but Burrow and them are playing because they have to keep winning. They started them. They dug a big hole. But yeah, the Bengals are a team that still, I think the Bengals and the Dolphins and, the Bills obviously are right there. We're going to see how we match up with the Dolphins this week. And then after that, I do believe the Bengals are a little more matchup ready to play the Chiefs, in my opinion. So yeah, I do agree. Jay Williker says, will we be able to stifle Miami's receiving core? I don't see it happening. I know we got some good corners, but they've got some great wide receivers, and the way that they're abusing that motion, and just it seems like all the rules are slanted towards the offense these days, and I feel like that's why a lot of teams are building offense heavy over defense. And now that you see that the Chiefs have built defense heavy by kind of accident in a way, just a lot of good draft picks. But yeah, you're seeing the Chiefs more defense heavy, and you're seeing a lot more closer games. Of course, our offense isn't really performing, but our offense still, we're like top in the league in 3rd and 10 or something like that, even with our crappy offense. So even with all of our struggles, we're still okay, So yeah, it's just one of those things where I just believe that the league favors offenses. Maka says, is Willie Gay in Germany? I don't know. I haven't got to see. I don't know. I don't really know the report on that. I'm curious to see it. I didn't get to watch any of their interviews today, but I'm curious to see what the final injury report's going to be and if he's going to make the trip, if he's going to go. So yeah. Brian says, go for it. Well, let me get this one first. The Chiefs aren't in Germany. Yeah, they haven't. I don't think they're leaving till tomorrow, maybe? Is it tomorrow? I'm not for sure. I'm not big on their itinerary. I don't know what it is right now. Like, I've had a lot of stuff going on, so I'm not really paying attention to when they're leaving and when they're not. I know a lot of people are, like, really freaking out over that. They're like, oh, my God, they're going to have jet lag. They're going to do this. I mean, they kind of know what they're doing, so we'll see whatever. But we'll let them make those decisions. I'll critique Andy Reid's play calling, but, boy, he can do an itinerary with the best of them. No, I'm just kidding. Brian says, Steve didn't ship my hat. He stuffed it in a drawer. Yeah, he's got it. I don't know if he shipped it or not. I mean, the mail's kind of slow now anyway. I think it took people like almost a week and a half to get their posters. So if not, I'll make sure that it goes out really soon for you, Brian. I appreciate you. But yeah, I guess that's going to be it for tonight, man. Thanks to everybody for tuning in here. If you guys don't care, hit that like button on the way out. We're almost to 150. Let's try to get to 150 on the way out. That'd be pretty sick. There's 328 in here right now watching. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. It was a little boring today. It's just old Mike talking football a lot. I'm sorry, Steve's not here to fight with. He's not here to fight with. But I appreciate you guys tuning in with me. Yeah, share us with your friends, share us with whoever. If you haven't checked out the Patreon, that's a good way to support us. You can go to our merch. You can go buy All Chiefed Up stuff, patreon.com/allchiefedup. It's $10 for the month while our memberships are suspended over here. That kind of sucks, but that's what it is. We're dealing with it till the new year. It's okay. Us and Nick Bolton are on the same game plan right now, but we do appreciate you guys. Maccaberry, I appreciate you telling me to get well soon. I'm trying. I'm still fighting. If you can tell, my voice is still it's in and out. I think I scratched the voice up. I've talked more today than I have in about 3 days. So I just appreciate all you guys being here, hanging out with me. Hit that like button, subscribe if you hadn't. And as always, we're going to be back on Saturday with another live. We're going to tailgate. We're going to talk about the Dolphins game a little more. I'll give my final predictions. Sorry, Julia, if that didn't go your way today. But I appreciate you guys. You guys have a great night. Be safe. And as always, let's go Chiefs.